no, you do not have to talk to us. I cannot stress that enough. There is a couple of people, other law enforcement agencies I want to recognize and thank. We have many, many partners. There are a few of them that are here today. First off, North Texas HIDA Director Keith Brown. North Texas HIDA, Oklahoma is all of Oklahoma in the north part of Texas. We work very closely with Director Brown. He is responsible for bringing resources, including financial resources, to help support what we're doing here in Oklahoma. Also, HSI Supervisor Rob Melton, he's here and he will speak in just a moment. Able Director Brandon Claves. This is not a task force. This isn't something new. Director Claves, whose agents frequently are in establishments where human trafficking can be, victims can be, and also suspects can be. This is him assigning an agent to us, one, to educate them, and also a liaison directly back to his staff, who they have someone they can reach out to that they work with every day. Also, Oklahoma Department of Corrections Director Stephen Harp. Some of the things that we're doing with the Department of Corrections is actually starting to become a model across the U.S. I'm extremely thankful to the director, and I'm also extremely confident that the cases that have come to fruition would never come to fruition as far as law enforcement is concerned if it wasn't for these partnerships, and mainly with the Department of Corrections. I cannot stress that enough. I'm also thankful to them because in January, whenever I approached these gentlemen about an initiative that I wanted to do and just about an idea, they joined me with this, and has far exceeded my expectations on what would happen with this. I will tell you, since the existence of this program, in 1 year, and it's actually in 2016, OBN recovered for the entire year, 30 adults. Since the beginning of January of this year, we've recovered over 30 adults, doing initiatives every week, doing operations every week, and 2 juveniles. So this has already far exceeded my expectation, what we would do or accomplish here in Oklahoma, but what we're doing nationally and internationally directly related to Oklahoma. Now in the near future, I can't talk about some of that stuff now, obviously, because there are ongoing investigations, but in the very near future, we'll be able to talk about some of that stuff. And last, I want to thank you, the media outlets, because please understand, yes, we reach a lot of people through our social media and our website, but the same people I'm wanting to talk to, the victims here in Oklahoma, listen and watch your broadcast. So thank you for being here. Thank you for also helping us get this word out. I cannot stress to you enough, this is just an initiative where we're trying to make people aware of what's going on in Oklahoma, and most importantly, to help the victims in the state of Oklahoma. Thank you for being here.
We'll now have Senator Darrell Weaver come up, Director of the Bureau of Narcotics at the time of our human trafficking unit's creation, to visit a little bit about its history. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning. It's an honor to be here today. That's something very important to me, historically and even currently in this body. In 2011, I wore another hat. I was actually the Director of the Bureau of Narcotics, and we had agents that came to us. Some may be in this room wonder, how in the world did the Bureau of Narcotics get involved in human trafficking? But we had the intelligence sources that were coming forth and saying, look, we have cell groups out there that are trafficking drugs that are also involved in human trafficking. And we looked at this and we looked at this, and it finally rose to the level that we felt like that it was a legitimate thing. It was something that we had the skill set, the undercover operations, the intelligence operations to infiltrate these groups and possibly make a difference. So in 2011, we petitioned this very body I'm a part of, and we got it through. It was signed by Governor Fallon, went into effect. She signed it, I believe, in May of that year, and then we went into effect in November. So we had a few months to ramp up. But even in this body of which I'm a part of, there were people that were skeptical of what we were doing. And I just want to say this, and we got a lot of leaders in this place, and there's never been anything that's been worth doing that didn't come with a price. And it came with a price in this building when I was the director. Some folks thought we were nuts, but we went ahead and we went forward. And between the signing of that bill and in November when we started and implemented, myself, my general counsel, and a couple of agents went to Las Vegas, Nevada. And we went out there because they are the largest human trafficking, obviously, in the world, probably. And we went out there and we went and were saturated with human trafficking and prostitution. Now you have to remember, I had the responsibilities like current director has, and that is, as administrator, how are we going to go back and implement what we're doing? And there's a huge difference between seizing a kilo of cocaine and seizing a child or a woman in human trafficking. And the day before, we were going to go out one more night. We were going to go out one more night. And I told my group that day, I said, I can't do any more of this. I had 4 sisters, a strong mother, a strong wife, 4 daughters. Look, I've been around strong women, and I love my women, if you would. But I was sick of it. I couldn't watch it another day because I thought, how in the world are we going to do this? But we did it, and we're successful because of the NGOs. We realized we could not just put this in an evidence vault. We had to do something. So I commend the NGOs. I know most all of them. And that we knew we had to partner with those people because we could not do it alone. So we fast forward now over a decade later. And I got an interesting phone call one day, and this happened about 2 years ago, from a former House member that was in the legislature at the time we passed and got it through. And it was an apologetic phone call. He said, you know what, Senator? I'm apologizing to you because I was against y'all doing that, and I thought y'all were nuts, but you know what? Y'all were right. And I'm going to tell you, we paid a price, and some people think that, well, you know, really what's going on out there, but it's real. It's real. So I commend Director Anderson and all of the OBN people and the NGOs that you're doing. And I'm going to stop right here because I know the governor's got a lot on his plate today. But I want to say this. I said it then, and I'll say it today. If we save one life, it's worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We're grateful to have Governor Kevin Stitt with us today. I know he's busy, but we wanted to give him the opportunity to say a few words because we know how important this is to him and his office. So, Governor, thank you.
Well, thanks so much, everybody, for being here. And you know, I just want to commend all the people behind me that are focused on this really, really important issue. All the law enforcement across the state of Oklahoma that keeps all 4 million Oklahomans safe each and every day. And you know, Tricia Evers is not up here. She's our Secretary of Public Safety. Tim Tipton is over DPS. And then Donnie Anderson, OBN, have just done a tremendous job of telling me what we need to share information. So before I became governor, there was a lot of silos in law enforcement. And so as we brought everybody together and we set up OCTIC, we have, within the last year and a half, the team has told me that we have shared data now between OBN, OSBI, DPS, ABLE, the sheriffs, the municipal police department. So we've set up a central gathering information for all law enforcement to report stuff. So when ABLE's out in hospitality, they're training their people what to look for. We're sharing that back, and just kind of the team effort. Just the last year and a half, we've been able to rescue 90 exploited children in just the last year and a half because we set that information sharing up. So just like Senator Weaver said, nothing is more important than taking care of our most vulnerable, our children. And I know that we all have that heart as Oklahomans, and so whatever I can do to be a small part of that, we're going to do it. I signed legislation back in 2021 that implemented human trafficking awareness curriculum at the university level. We're trying to combat it there. In 2022, we created the Human Trafficking Task Force to combat this issue, and so happy that the task force is putting these QR codes up in restrooms and stalls, and how you can, because I mean, I can't even imagine as a young person the frightening fear that they're facing, and whatever we can do to get that information to them. And we need to teach also the restaurants, our workers, all law enforcement, what are the signs they need to look for, and we will punish the bad guys. We will be a law and order state. This is why I'm so supportive of Governor Abbott, and I've sent troops to the southern border. We have to have strong borders. We've got to know who's coming through our country. We've got to know, we've got to stop this human trafficking. So just whatever I can do from a state level to support the men behind me and the women that are so focused on this. But also, Weaver talked about the NGOs, the churches, the nonprofits, the people that are very passionate about this, and I just want to encourage them that are watching on TV today to continue to engage with law enforcement. And you guys have the ideas, and we want to help support you to make Oklahoma the safest place to raise our children and the best state in the country. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for everything you're doing to keep us safe. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Governor. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the Director of the Oklahoma Department of Corrections, Stephen Harp, to visit about the DOC's partnership with our agency in human trafficking.
Good morning. So our role in this is a little different than what you may have expected. So when a bad guy gets hauled off to jail and eventually winds up in one of our prisons, you'd think, well, at that point his life in crime is over, and that's not the case. A lot of these guys try to continue, and girls, to run their criminal enterprises from within the walls. The interesting thing is that for the first time, the state of Oklahoma has technology at its fingertips now that is enabling this fight. So when Director Anderson approached me about this when I first took this job, and had this great idea of bringing resources from the Department of Corrections, OBN at that time, and then of course HIDA, because it is a federally funded and a state-funded project. All of us are given resources to it. It was about how you could take the information that we get from within the prisons, from the phones, from the wall phones, from the communications, text messages, everything that you can imagine. And then how do we get that information, how do we process it, and how do we turn it into actionable intelligence? Well, as Director Anderson mentioned to you guys earlier, it's something that the nation is now taking notice of. So for example, we were in D.C. not too long ago at the largest HIDA gathering that they do every year. All the HIDA directors were there. And as soon as Ted Woodhead, as my director, my chief of intelligence, stood up and started talking about our cell phone program, which, by the way, we bricked over 5,000 phones since July of 23, it goes to tell you how serious we've become. It's not just the same old try to sniff it out of a cell and find it. It's using technology. It's using modern techniques, even in the face of not being able to have all the laws that we need to pursue criminals, such as the FCC and how they handle certain laws around drones. But these partnerships have been incredible. And so in terms of our contribution and the partnership with everyone behind me, plus federal and other state agencies, has been phenomenal. We talk about this and meet about this all the time. Corrections, Keith, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we're the first correctional agency in the U.S. to be part of a HIDA board, which I am. And they brought us in because we can share techniques, intelligence, and how we do things just there in the Texoma HIDA. And then, of course, when we go national, we do it with our national partners as well. But everyone behind me has a massive role to play in how we find, disseminate, and also calibrate this intelligence, make sure it's something that's usable. We're super proud to be part of this, fortunate. We're blessed with Secretary Everest, who's still in the room, Governor Stitt, who, his leadership and support's been amazing. But, again, I got to recognize Director Anderson, because his partnership and his vision and bringing us into that, and then using, being willing to use technology differently and chase these problems differently than we have, they talked about already, we have real outcomes. There are real lives being saved because of it. And some of that intelligence is coming from inside our prisons. Obviously, in a perfect world, we don't want any of that to happen. But we're going to be tirelessly in our effort. That watch center that we talk about is 365 days a year, 7/24. It never shuts down. We're always hunting people. So, again, I appreciate your leadership, sir, and appreciate this opportunity. And then there'll be more good news to come soon, as he talked about investigations we can't get into now, but there's some bigger things coming, and we hope to have that information for you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to introduce the director of the ABLE Commission, Brandon Claves, to talk about ABLE's partnership in this project.
Well, I want to publicly thank Governor Stitt, Director Anderson, and Senator Weaver for allowing me to publicly speak about the plague of human trafficking. And I come with a different perspective today. As a former police chief, I can tell you that human trafficking is kind of a mystic word. We never wanted to say it happened in our hometown, it happened somewhere else. I served on Director Weaver's commission when he was OBNDD director, and he had the vision, as he spoke earlier, about creating this task force. And I just scratched the surface, but now as a state director, I certainly understand what the problem is statewide. And so we are extremely proud to be part of this task force. And as Director Anderson says, ABLE is proud to partner with OBNDD to fight this epidemic and to help rescue these victims who face this horrible trauma. One of our agents is assigned to this human trafficking task force, and because of our legal authority by state law, that gives us the ability to inspect alcohol licenses, restaurants, bars, hotels, and convenience stores. And with this information, we share it to identify, to investigate, and to intervene when a suspicion human trafficking is occurring. The You Are Not Alone campaign will help raise awareness of these crimes and bring resources to victims who otherwise might not feel empowered to speak out against their perpetrators. Our law enforcement agents are all across the state of Oklahoma in cities and counties, and we work together and we make our communities safer. It's imperative we educate the public and our friends and neighbors to be vigilant so that human traffickers are held accountable and victims are given the voice they desperately need. I encourage anyone who has information related to these crimes, please contact the OBNDD trafficking hotline, their local agencies, ABLE agents who are out doing their inspections daily throughout the state of Oklahoma. And as our public safety director, Secretary Tricia Everest always says, together we are stronger. And ABLE looks forward to our continuing partnerships to protect Oklahoma. So thank you very much.
Now I'd like to introduce the director of the North Texas HIDA. And HIDA, for those who may not understand the acronym, it's High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, at which Oklahoma is part of the North Texas and Oklahoma HIDA. And I'd like to introduce the director of the North Texas HIDA, Keith Brown.
Thank you. I want to make 3 quick points. First and foremost, I had the honor of serving this country for 25 years as a drug agent, and I served all across the country. And I want the people of Oklahoma to understand one thing. Some of the most cutting-edge law enforcement approaches anywhere in the United States are happening right here. The things that they're doing at OBN, at DOC, partnership with the federal agencies, the people of Oklahoma should understand that they are leading the nation, not following the nation in this respect. The second thing, people may wonder why the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Program would be at a human trafficking event. And the reasons are sad. Drugs are an illegal commodity that people move for money. Unfortunately, that's what human trafficking is. Only the despicable thing about it is the commodity is people. And there is no more despicable. I hate drug dealers. I hated them all my life. But someone that will traffic another human being deserves no one's love. And the final part I'll make is the NGOs are important. For 25 years, I've fought drugs across the country. And we approached it for a long time as a law enforcement only approach. But what we found is when the fentanyl crisis happened and the meth crisis here in Oklahoma, you can't separate public health and public safety. You can't separate the organizations that want to help people, that want to help with addiction, that want to rescue these people and heal them from law enforcement. We're 2 very different animals, if you will. But we can't be successful if we don't blend those 2 people together. And I'm pulling for those NGOs to be successful, and they're pulling for us to be successful. That's the only way we win in drugs, and that's the only way we win in human trafficking. Again, I want to thank Director Anderson, Director Harper, and all the guys behind me. They're doing a fantastic job, and we're just privileged to be a part of it. Thank you.
Another critical partner in the work that we're doing at the Bureau of Narcotics is Homeland Security Investigators, or HSI. And with us today to say a few words is their Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Rob Melton.
Everyone. I'm just honored to be here with these professionals and what our agencies are doing together. Director Anderson mentioned it. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem. DHS estimates that over 28 million people a year worldwide are trafficked, a large number of them in the United States. There's no way to combat that scourge without the partnerships of state, local, federal, and our NGOs. And with that, the DHS is trying to lead that on the federal level and provide resources and partnerships nationwide through the Center for Countering Human Trafficking, CCHT. HSI is the lead in that agency. Here in Oklahoma, they mentioned it a minute ago regarding what they're doing here that's unique. I can tell you that truly is the case. There are several cases within the last couple years that have gone federal and state that were successful truly because of what they've set up through DOC, through OBN, and the partnerships, the information they were able to provide. We were able to provide information on a trafficking network that was starting in Mexico through Texas to Oklahoma, and it was solved based on information that we got here, not from Texas, not from other places. They're cutting edge here, and we are very, very proud to be part of this initiative. So thank you very much.
It's been said frequently this morning about the importance of our NGOs, our non-governmental organizations, and their critical role in what we're trying to accomplish, and especially providing assistance and recovery for these victims. With us today, we've got two different groups that are going to speak. First, with the Springs, Leslie Klingenpeel, the director of the Springs.
Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to speak. It's an honor to be here on behalf of the Oklahoma Coalition Against Trafficking and the Spring. I just want to say that as a service provider, a victim service provider who encounters these survivors in our everyday work, how important this initiative is. And I don't want to speak for myself. I want to bring a quote from a survivor that we have had the honor to work with recently. And I just want to share her words and the importance. It really highlights the importance of why this initiative is so important. So she says, "I was never seen. No one looked for me because they didn't believe human trafficking could happen in their community. My behavior didn't make sense, but people, including doctors, ignored it. I wish they had known what to look for so they could have seen what I was going through and hopefully helped me. Thankfully, I encountered an advocate through the Oklahoma Coalition Against Trafficking and the Spring and realized there were people who could help me. A month ago, I felt lost, defeated, and hopeless, but their compassion and work has given me hope and a future of freedom." It is so important that our community understands the signs to look for and understands that there's service providers, advocates, and law enforcement agents who want to get them to help. So we just encourage you as a community, if you see something, say something, and reach out to our partners or ourselves. Thank you.
We're also grateful to have with us Melissa Ike, and she is with the Dragonfly Home.
The Dragonfly Home's mission is to walk alongside victim survivors of human trafficking on their path to freedom and restoration. As Oklahoma City's sole state-certified provider of human trafficking victim services, in the last 8 years, our small nonprofit, I'm one of the co-founders, I've been there since the beginning. We've served over 1,000 victim survivors of sex trafficking or labor trafficking here in Oklahoma City. We have our own 24-hour human trafficking helpline, and our team has fielded over 11,000 calls to that hotline since November of 2016. We're passionate about our mission, and we also recognize that we can't do this without partners like OBN and the people here today. Like everyone has been talking about, it's critical that we partner together to fight human trafficking, to prevent it, and to help the people who are experiencing it right now, as we sit here today in the state capitol, and they are in a trafficking situation and they need help. I have some words about this campaign from one of Dragonfly's own staff members, Felicia. Not only is she one of our case managers, and she works every single day serving victim survivors of human trafficking, but Felicia herself is a survivor of trafficking. Felicia says, We know the vulnerabilities that people face when it comes to trafficking. I think this initiative will be a great hub with resources for people seeking help. People in active trafficking situations will be able to immediately find emergency resources by seeing Dragonfly, Divis, and the Spring listed right away at the top of the webpage for this campaign. It will also give people the opportunity to learn what additional resources are available, increasing a survivor's ability to get their basic needs met, which we know is crucial when someone is trying to get out of trafficking and build a new sustainable life. It's also an important tool to prevent re-victimization for those who are able to get out of trafficking. I can see just how much potential this campaign has, both by providing specific resources and something that sets off real change for people in situations that makes them vulnerable to trafficking. Felicia also wanted to add that education is prevention. If we don't know what trafficking looks like, then we can't actually tackle this issue. Thank you, Felicia, for courageously sharing your expert words of wisdom. Human trafficking cannot thrive when a community is informed, equipped, and empowered. The You're Not Alone campaign is an important step toward achieving this goal, and we at Dragonfly are honored to celebrate it here today.
Thank you. We've got so many partners that are involved in this, many of them behind the scenes, but there's some that are here today and others that we just want to mention real quickly. The Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services has got tremendous resources and just a partner that's been walking alongside us through this. Also, the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women and the Oklahoma Coalition Against Trafficking. There's so many people that are ready to help, and we would just encourage businesses and schools, and we can't thank enough the schools and universities and other businesses that have already stepped up and say, yes, we want to put posters on our campus. We want to put stickers in our bathrooms, on the mirrors, the stalls, wherever a vulnerable victim might be who can quickly get the help that they need. And so we're grateful to those who've already stepped up, and we will continue to encourage schools and businesses that might want to participate to reach out to the Bureau of Narcotics, and we will provide them with the stickers and with the posters for their campuses. At this time, I'd like to open it up to any questions that anyone may have for the panel we've got up here today. If not, we will hang around, and if you all think of some questions, you can feel free to come up and visit with us. Thank you all so very, very much for being here today.